to create our own, which is the worst nightmare of the manipulators. Worst nightmare. It was in the Matrix movie when the Neo character went through the death experience and came through it and realized it was an illusion, and he stopped seeing people in the holographic world, as I would put it, as people, and started seeing them like that. When he realized it was all an illusion, that's when he was able to control his own reality. There's a lot in that movie that's true. And as we change our own energy field, we are then able to make that consciousness change available to other people. In this 100th monkey syndrome they talk about, which is connection between people. And then we come system failure in this crap. Now, I've got 10 minutes left before they throw me out. So I want to talk about this, and it comes on the end of all that I've talked about in this last section. There very much seems to be a shift in consciousness going on. When I first woke up, and amazing things were happening to me, and I didn't understand them. One of the themes at that time, we're talking 1990, was that there was a consciousness shift coming. I kept meeting psychic people a lot in those days, and they kept saying, I'm getting something, I'm being told to tell you this, and again it was, there's a consciousness shift coming. There is an awakening coming. People are going to come out of the trance in effect, and it's happening now. And now as the 90s have become the new century, more and more this stuff about this shift is going on. An energy shift, which is acting like a spiritual alarm clock. And I've seen it. All over the world I've seen it. People starting to get it and wake up and see the true magnitude of who they are. This energy change is happening, and therefore those that open their minds to it are starting to access and decode different frequencies, different ranges of reality, which are starting to change their experienced reality from division to oneness. And there's a lot of talk about 2012 and the Mayan calendar and all that stuff. I have to say, I'm not one of those people that say everything's going to change in 2012. I don't see that. What I see is that this is a symbolic, or more than symbolic, window when terrific change is going to take place. And this cycle that we've been through is changed into another cycle, which is going to be very different and far more near paradise than the prison that is emerging. And in 1990, you know, I'm not really big into channeled information and stuff when, you know, psychics take all this stuff. You can get really good ones when you get out, when they really get out there, and you can get some really profound stuff which takes you on. But a lot of stuff is not like that, but some of it is. And in 1990, I experienced this, and it stood the test of time in my experience. It was a lady who channeled this consciousness back in 1990 when I was like, you know, in La La Land, what's happening to my life? And I'll just read what it said because it's so relevant to now with the hindsight of the years that have passed. And if anyone doesn't, you know, believe in shapeshifting, they should have seen this woman's face when she was doing this, because she became someone else. Her face, it was like, whoa, changed to a completely different face. And this is what it said. I feel you are sensing now the energies coming in, the energies surrounding your planet. This is causing many of you to ask questions. It is causing many of you to reevaluate completely your way of life, where you feel you wish to go, what you want to do. It is causing tremendous upheavals. Some of these upheavals are very confusing, very distressing, very disturbing. Some people in partnerships are finding they can no longer continue in those partnerships because their partners cannot tune into what they are tuning into. This is causing a great deal of disturbance. And I have said to this sensitive on more than one occasion that you must organize yourselves into groups to support each other. Now then, my own allegiance with your planet goes back to an Atlantean period when there were many energies being used and information and knowledge being used, which were, for particular reasons of safety, withdrawn, shall we say, to prevent complete catastrophe, to prevent total destruction of your planet. One could say these were sort of emergency measures, if you like, to prevent the inhabitants of this planet from an untimely destruction. Now, at that time, shall we say, this knowledge was distributed only to the few. It was taught in what you could call a temple setting, though I'm very careful about using this word. It has connotations, maybe. So let me use that word in the broadest possible sense. There were those initiated into this knowledge, there were grades of initiation, and those who passed the full initiation, these were known as the guardians of the light and the keepers of the secret knowledge. This is the context from which I'm coming. There was a time when this knowledge and the energies were withdrawn. It is very difficult for me to explain to you precisely what I mean by that, so I will let you mull these things over. As the energies around your planet quicken, this is 1990, so these latent energies, these energies which have been withdrawn, will now be phased back in. They will gradually be awakened. As the consciousness level of your planet raises itself, those of you who are working together to raise your consciousness, you will be able to hold more and more refined vibrations, and so we will be able to use you as a catalyst to be able to feed in more and more energies. Because as we change, we bring this change into this reality. As more of you raise yourselves to meet the challenge, so we can awaken more of these energies. Now, energy is consciousness, and the energies themselves contain the knowledge and the information which is beginning to surface again in your consciousness. So many of you will remember the Atlantean times. You will remember that you communicated with, say, dolphins and whales. You understood these sentient creatures. You could levitate. You could manifest things. You could cause spontaneous combustion by not miraculous means at all. Once you know what you're doing, these things follow. It is a matter of order. Now, I'm looking at a time on your planet when these energies, this knowledge is reawakened and reintegrated into your consciousness. I am not looking at a time when this knowledge will be for the few, but when your whole planet will be awakened to this understanding, which you have simply forgotten. It is not a matter of new information. It is a matter of remembering who you are and where you come from. So you are being asked to change. You are being asked to change in a total way. It is not a matter of small changes, a little thing here, a little thing there. You are really being asked to turn yourselves inside out. There is such a massive shadow which must be cleared, and it is up to workers such as you to focus yourself on that challenge. Those of you who are in the forefront of this, you are rather like a snowplow. You are the thin end of the wedge. You really have, how shall I put it, to a certain extent, I suppose, you have the shitty end of the job. You have an awful lot to do, but nevertheless you are capable of doing an awful lot. That is why you've chosen to come. That is why you've come here for, to really shovel some shit and therefore make some space behind you to make it easier for the others. As in your human body, there are energy lines and meridian lines around your planet, through your planet, which correspond, I suppose, very much to the acupuncture lines and meridians in your body. Where two lines cross, you create a vortex, a tiny vortex if it's two. The more lines that intersect, the bigger the vortex. Therefore, when you have a chakra, you have a large vortex of intersecting energy. It is the same with your planet. Where the most lines cross, there is the biggest vortex. Now, you could say that the plexus in and around the islands that you call the British Isles is the hub of the wheel of plexuses and energies which surround your planet. It has acted in other times like a fail-safe device. In order to activate these chakric points upon your planet, the energies must all cross through the central point. They must all pass through the heart of the pattern. And it's no accident, I would suggest, that Britain and London and Scotland and whatever are one of the major centers for the hybrid bloodlines and the Illuminati on the planet, because they understand the significance of its place, not because of it's a country, but its point on this energy grid. And this is why there are more stone circles and standing stones in Britain, particularly on the western side, than anywhere else in the world per square mile. It's a very, very important place in energetic terms on the planet. And my feeling about this awakening is that this is very, very much involved. I've got a lot more to do on this, to say the least, but I'm sure that the sun is far more than a source of heat. It is a place or an opening, a gateway, where great energetic change and code changes come into this solar system, same with others all around what we call the universe. And I feel that at the elite level, not among the general population, one of the focuses on the sun, or the reasons for the obsession with the sun, is the knowledge of this, right going back to the ancient world. I also feel that the black holes and stuff are also ways that these energetic codes come in and out of this reality. So we're in a situation where there is an energetic change. More and more people are feeling it. Of course, people who are more awake are going to feel it first, but even people you thought were never going to kind of open their minds to this, now they're doing the same. Something's going on, and it's going on in the period that in the 1990s I was told it was going to go on. And we can flow with it, get in the right brain, hey man, and just go with it, and let life take us where it needs to go intuitively, or we can fight it, and in which case we're going to expend more and more and more energy, getting more and more stressful, trying to stay still and to hold on to the way things were, as if the way things were in this manipulated reality are the way things we always want them to be. So this change is giving us even a bigger opportunity to change the nature of the way we see the world and ourselves. And I think it's no accident, the more I understand this, that it's now of all times that this great Orwellian stuff is being thrown at us in every way, in food additives and electromagnetic pollution and manipulation, and all the programming and all the surveillance and all the microchipping. It's a response to the fact that they know this change is taking place, and they're trying to suppress it so fewer people as possible actually start to lock into it and become transformed by it. Because when we do, we're no longer in a smaller box than they're in, and therefore they're no longer in control. And this whole game of soldiers can just break up, because it's a house of cards. It's a house of cards, and we are holding it together. When we go, whoops, thank you very much, not holding that up anymore, bang, gone. We are holding it together. That's the point. It's not that they have constructed this, they have manipulated us to construct it. You cannot solve problems with the same level of consciousness that created them. No, but the same level of consciousness is not where we're going now. We're going to another one to change our reality. And it's a time to choose. A time to choose if we want to flow with this and become the full magnitude of who we are, or whether we want to stay in the box like little frightened mice, saying, oh my God, I can't say boo to a goose, the goose won't like it. Free your mind and let nothing and no one enslave it is a great motto for everyone, I would suggest, including myself. As Mencken said at the start of this event today, I believe that any man that takes the liberty from another into his keeping is bound to become a tyrant, and that any man who yields up his liberty in however slight the measure is bound to become a slave. That's how we got into this. Voltaire, so long as the people do not care to exercise their freedom, those who wish to tyrannize will do so. For tyrants are active and ardent and will devote themselves in the name of any number of gods, religious or otherwise, to put shackles on sleeping men. We have created it because we have become sleeping men and women. We can do things on a physical level, which are a reflection of our changing consciousness, like ceasing to cooperate with the system of control. We've had a discussion outside the White House. We've had a discussion and we've decided this is going to happen. Mass of the people. No, it's not. We ain't doing that. Where's the power? Gone. Gone. The power is with us, and we have been cooperating with the building of our own prison. When we cease to cooperate, the prison can't be built because there's not enough people to do it if the people who are being enslaved don't do it to themselves. As Albert Einstein said, the pioneers of a warless world are the youth that refuse military service.